Not that one. This one. It's Friday, the 2nd of April, 2021. Welcome back to the Seasiders podcast. And today's show, we're discussing Blackpool's fine away win at the county ground. We've got a special guest on the show, a special guest who will be revealed shortly. I'm John Aspinall, and this is the Seasiders podcast, match reaction show. Swindon Town 0, Blackpool 2.
It's already changed the world. A small town from the north of England with a great tradition.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to the stream, post-match show, match reaction show. Swindon 0, Blackpool 2. And as I said, we've got a special guest joining Tim and Matt. It's Phil. Good evening, Phil. Great to have you on. I've been bugging you for the past 2 or 3 games, and you finally made it.
Yeah, it's. I think the last one I did was Charlton. Well, I think it was Charlton at home. The last one I did. So I'm surprised you invited me back. To be honest, it was
that famous statement was born after that game, wasn't it? Would you like to remind everyone what it was?
Oh, we're stuck with him. Was it? We are stuck with him.
We're just stuck with him.
Well, a lot's changed from that. A lot's changed. I mean, when was that? Was that November? Was it?
November time, yeah.
I think it was November, and so much has changed in sort of 3 months, 4 months. So it's nice to be back.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Good evening, Tim. How are you doing?
Fine, thanks. I'm in a good mood. Great to get another 3 points today and keep this run going. Incredible to win 5 games on the trot, and I'm looking forward to talking about it.
Away?
5 games on the trot away. That's what I meant. Yeah, sorry, I perhaps
you didn't say that.
And not concede a goal either in those 5 games. So.
I didn't know that. Is that right?
Have we ever done that before? Is that like a record? Have we ever done that before?
It must be. I can't remember. In my lifetime, I don't think we've ever won 5 on the trot away from home.
No, I don't think so.
We're all of a certain vintage on here, aren't we? And we were always shite away from home, weren't we? Even under Billy Eyre
even when we were good, we were shite away, weren't we?
Yeah.
I remember when I used to go, on the coach when I was at school still, and you'd go to away games, and you'd know you're going to get thumped, and then the week after you'd thump somebody at home, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And Salani days, anyway, Billy Eyre days,
Yeah. Sorry for stealing your thunder, Matt.
No, so I was going to say, I think it was on commentary today that it was 1957 since we won 5 in a row. So would have to be a real certain vintage to remember that one. But it was tremendous, really is.
Yeah, we're getting that in the comments. Welcome.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, welcome, Chris. Thanks.
I think it was 1957-58 season when we had our highest ever finish, wasn't it? Not that I was there, I hasten to add. But
I was going to say, do you remember that one?
Of course you were, we know.
We finished runners up, didn't we, to Man U? It was finished runners up to Man U, didn't we?
That just for men is really good, isn't it?
Sean just asked Phil, did you have a stroke when his adopted child Kai went down injured?
It was all the running he was doing, Sean. People keep telling me he doesn't work hard for the team, but he was up and down that left-hand side today, wasn't he? He's like a young Mo Farah.
Yeah, without the ball. Yeah, no ball anywhere near him.
That's my point. He didn't get the ball. He's just running up and down the line all the time. Anyway, we'll come to that, I think, in a bit.
Yeah, we will. 5 away wins in perfect 10 plus Leicester, but that was across 2 seasons, including a playoff final. All right, thanks for that. Tangerine CS750, I think I know who that is. Right, that's from Walshy. Phil. It is. It's a shaved Nick.
We need to get Walshy on this. The problem is, normally he falls asleep about this time. Normally,
Well, is it the time for his afternoon nap?
Yeah, normally, after a match, after he's been found sleeping on a train, missing his stop and stuff like that. So if we get Walsh on, we'll have to do it a little bit earlier. Like just after half time, maybe.
Right, let's go on with the show. I've actually missed the first half today because I was up in the lakes on my bike. Glorious day, and I planned it all out so I'd just get back in time for kick-off. And the two lads that I was with, I was out mountain biking, and they're messing about with the bikes like all the way through, stopping to take pictures. Oh, I think my chain's just coming off. I've just got to adjust it. I was like, for fuck's sake. Anyway, so I've flown off really quick. I've gone what I thought was the shortcut way back to Keswick, and I've gone the long way. And so I've missed the majority of the first half. So you three are going to have to fill me in on it. So let's start with the team lineups as we normally do. And Phil, as you're the guest, I'll come to you on this. So Blackpool and as follows: Maxwell, Gabriel, Turton, Greteson, Garbutt, Dougal, Ward, Embleton, Kaikai, Sims, and Yates. So the main thing I noticed was Ellis Sims starting. So what did you make of that?
I was a bit shocked, to be honest, but I don't know why I'm shocked, because we should kind of expect it now that we have a couple of good performances and we do change it quite a bit. And I'm not too bothered about the personnel changing. It's more the shape that we seem to changing, going from a 4-4-2 to a 4-2-3-1 or a bit of a hybrid 4-3-3 or whatever. So obviously looking at that team sheet, I thought, well, that looks like a 4-4-2. So I was a bit shocked.
Was that the case? Was that the case?
Yeah, I think it was. I think we started as a 4-4-2, and I was a little bit shocked at that. Away from home, normally you probably would have had an extra man in midfield. So, credit to the manager. I think he may have seen something in Swindon and thought we'll play two up front today. So, I was shocked when I saw it, and I wasn't too convinced it was going to work. To be honest with you, I was a bit taken aback by it. But like I said before, we should know now with Critchley. He does like to keep us guessing, and he swaps things around quite a lot. And I suppose you have to at the moment, with the current situation with injuries and everything else. But personnel, I mean, was there only one change? Was it just Sims that came in?
Greteson came in as well.
Yeah. So there's only two changes really, but it's just that shape change that I thought was a bit surprising.
So Matt, there's no space for Dan Bollard to start in, which may have raised a few eyebrows, but with his exploits for Northern Ireland probably explain that.
Yeah, I think he played about 75 minutes, didn't he? On was it Wednesday night? I think for Northern Ireland. So it's asking a lot, isn't it, to do that and then come into potentially play 90 minutes, only less than 48 hours later. But I think it's also a case of sort of rotation, as we use the modern word these days. So he's more likely to be playing on Monday against Gillingham, who are a bit more sort of direct, dare I say it, than Swindon. And I think looking at the Sims inclusion possibly was something that the Critchley and Calder would have looked at, because it was obvious that where Swindon played 3 or 5 at the back, depending on how you look at it. So maybe they just wanted to play 2 up front to put a bit more sort of pressure on them, really, rather than Jerry Yates having to do all the work himself.
I think that's a good point. Sorry to jump in, but Swindon playing 3 at the back, and they had a central midfield player playing at centre half as well. So I think he's probably, credit to the manager, he's probably seen that and thought, 2 up front against their 3 centre halves, one of them being not a recognised centre half, might give us a little bit more, a bit more threat. So credit to him in hindsight. Yeah, credit to him.
So Mike Swift said the shape has to change 4-4-2 today with Kaikai and Embleton coming in upside, opening up for Gabriel and Garbutt, and they couldn't get to grips with it.
Yeah, well, to be honest, I'm with Phil. I was quite surprised that we went back to a 4-4-2, and not necessarily because Sims was on the pitch, but I think the point's right. If you're going to play Sims and Yates, it's difficult to play anything other than a 4-4-2 with them, I think. But I don't think it suits us unless we've got Medine playing. I don't think 4-4-2 suits us as much as the different variations that we've been playing do. So I was a little bit disappointed, and as we're going to discuss, I think the first half hour particularly, we struggled to get to grips with it ourselves. Never mind get to grips with Swindon. So, ultimately it worked. But I suspect if we played the other way, it would have worked as well. So, because Swindon weren't very good.
No, I think they were poor. So I think it's probably a good day to change shape.
Yeah.
And like I said before, with them having a few injuries defensively as well, he's probably seen that and thought we can get at them a little bit more.
And he scored as well. So Ellis Sims has scored, hasn't he? We'll come on to that. Come up to that in a bit.
I was going to say my criticism with him being is that when he plays, we kind of go direct to him like he's Medine, and he's not Medine, is he? He needs the ball in different areas. He needs it down the channels. So I was hoping that once I saw his name on the team sheet that we would change the way we played a little bit, so we would give him what he needs really.
So did we, Matt? What style of play was the game? Obviously, I've missed the first half, and a lot of people just said you didn't miss much. So how did we? Was it pre-match bongs or?
Well, possibly. I mean, the first thing I wrote down in my little notes was that it was a lively pitch, aka Common Edge Road. For those of us who know,
very dry, didn't it?
It was very dry, and as a consequence, unfortunately, every time you were passing the ball, like whether it be 5 yards or further, it was just bobbling all over the place. So as a consequence of that, it sort of slowed the play down and made us a little bit sort of, I don't know, just a bit pedestrian and a bit too sort of circumspect in what we were trying to do, really. So we weren't snapping any passes around. It's very difficult to move the ball around as quickly as we would like. And equally, because of the change of formation, we were almost looking for that Embleton role player in the middle of the park, and obviously it wasn't there. So it was a very sort of, I don't know, just sort of I think we used this word the other night, didn't we? An insipid sort of start, really, and very just sort of laboured. I almost like I had a pre-season sort of feel to it, really, because of the weather and all the rest of it. So we were. I mean, we just sort of, I don't know, it just didn't seem to get out of first gear for an awful long time, really.
I was actually
sorry. I was going to say, fortunately, we were playing Swindon and not anybody else who were any better than that, quite frankly.
So, what was this chance, Phil, on 4 minutes? Brett Pittman. So, you go on, Phil. Then tell us about Pittman's chance.
It's just, I think it was clean. I think the ball came across, I think, from the right, and he kind of just missed it.
Garbutt gave possession away, didn't he, on the halfway line?
Defensively from Garbutt, I think. Was it Garbutt that gave it away to him? I think it was, wasn't it?
Garbutt gave away. The lad, I forgot the lad went down the right and sat there, right, our left, crossed it in, and Pittman had basically a free shot and put it wide. He should have hit the target, really, shouldn't it? It was a bit.
It looked like he missed it. It looked like he hit it first time, and he missed it a little bit. He just kind of skewed off his foot. But we're a little bit lucky there. But just going back to Matt's point about the pitch. Sorry, Matt, I was trying to just
you're right.
Mention it. It was so bobbly and it was so bouncy that I just thought to myself, Dougal's going to get sent off here. He's going to make a bad touch. He's going to go, go in knee high or something like that, and he's going to get sent off. And after about 10 minutes, I think that's what near enough happened, wasn't it? He had a bad touch on a bad pitch, and he was got a booking. So
we should be thankful at home games that we've got the Premiership legacy of sprinkles, shouldn't we?
Yeah, exactly.
Holding water from 2 months ago.
Clearly didn't invest when they had their year in the sun.
Well, Chisnell kept mentioning the pitch, didn't he? Yeah. The comms kept mentioning the pitch, didn't they? They kept saying, "Oh, I can't believe they've not watered it." And
to be fair, it's been dry. I mean, we've had a very, very dry week, and a pitch that has drainage in it will, if you don't water it, it will dry out really, really quickly and end up quite bobbly. And
it was bouncy. It was bouncy, wasn't it? It was, they were trying to, they couldn't zip the ball about. It was just like Matt said, it was quite slow.
Yeah, as a result of that, it just makes it a leveler, doesn't it? Instantly, I mean, they're near the bottom, we're near the top, and it sort of, equals the sort of percentages out, really, doesn't it?
Maybe they wanted that. Maybe they deliberately not watered it.
Yeah,
stop us playing our football.
Yep.
Well, I actually made a point. I made a note of it, and I thought, they're setting up with 5 in midfield to try and contain us, and with us going 4-4-2, we bypassed that a little bit in the first sort of first half. It may have caught them off guard a little bit because they were really negative. For the home team, they were really, really. Yeah, that's a good point that Josh has just made there. Definitely tactical from them. They wanted to stop us playing. I think they did. The 5 in midfield, and maybe that's why Chris has changed it. You don't know. You can't second guess him, but I think maybe that's why he's done it.
So, Tim, as we've started the game, I'm just looking through the Blackpool notes. 15 minutes. We've got Embleton now picks out Yates brilliantly, though the striker's shot deflects behind for a corner. So, what was that chance like? And what was Jerry like in the opening?
To be honest, in the opening phase of the game, we were quite. I wouldn't say we were massively poor in possession, but our decision making wasn't great. And the one exception to that for me was Embleton, who seemed to have quite a bit of decent movement in the early stages. He'd picked it up in the middle, found space in the middle, picked it up, tried to find Yates, and I think he got the first touch, but then a defender took it off and put it out for a corner. And but yeah, it was quite a lot of people I noticed on AVFTT and were criticising Dougal in the early stages. But I think when we talk about what the pitch was like and how bobbly it was, he got booked very early on.
Yeah.
When a ball ran away from him and a player came in, and whilst there was quite a few stray passes, equally he seemed to be involved in everything. And as we sort of, once we got over the 30-minute mark, we started to settle down into a pattern of play that we complete, particularly that the rest of that half, we absolutely dominated possession. We must have had about 75% possession between the 30th minute and the 45th. And as obviously we're going to go on to speak about, we eventually make that pressure tell. But it was probably about as dominant in that section that I've seen us all season. But the first 30, it was very boring, to be honest. I mean, when people said you didn't miss much, you really didn't. It was quite dreary to watch. But I think it was us maybe getting to grips with the system, getting to grips with the pitch. So I think it was a combination. And the more I think about it, the more I think that Swindon have deliberately not watered that pitch.
Yeah, I think so. But it's unusual as well to be so dominant in a 4-4-2 when they've got 5 against your sort of. They had 3-5-2, so they had an extra man in midfield really, but we still dominated, which is quite unusual really. It just shows how poor they were maybe and how deep they sat, for the home team.
Yeah, I mean, as poor as we're sort of painting this picture, that I think the patience that we showed, and we were just sort of feeling our way into it after, like Tim says, sort of 20, 25, 30 minutes or whatever. Another team would almost sort of panic and try to do things a little bit more quicker and all the rest of it. And we were quite disciplined, and ultimately that was to our sort of advantage, I guess. Ultimately, another team who weren't as probably as in a good of form as we are currently would have tried to do things a lot quicker and try to move the ball more directly, but we kept doing what we tried to do and bring the fullbacks into play and bring Embleton and Kai into play. And I thought Grant Ward and Dougal, despite the ball being, bobbly and all the rest of it, I thought they did, pretty well in the first half, really.
Yeah,
Phil, would you say this is a sign of a team that's maturing, like Matt said? And do you think this is something to do with the discipline that's being instilled into them from Coldwood and Critchley?
I think it's a confidence thing as well. I think at the start of the season we didn't really have any confidence, but also we didn't have any leaders in the team either. So I think that makes a big difference. I mean, you think we started off the season with Michael Nottingham as our main centre half, really, and we had Ethan Robson as our kind of midfield anchor. And now when you look at it now, you've got Dougal, we've had Stewart, we've got 4 decent centre halves. So I think that's a lot to do with it. I think they've got confidence in each other, and we've got a strong spine. And I'll keep mentioning this spine, but I think that's probably why our away performances are so good, because we don't get bullied anymore. We don't get pushed off the ball. We look strong.
Tim, there's quite a few.
That's the biggest difference.
There's a few people in the comments saying Dougal was quite poor in the first half. Tom's just said it there. Josh as well.
When he
is that a fair comment?
When you say, no, I don't think it is. When he says poor, there was a few misplaced passes. That's all it was. He was still involved in everything. He was always showing for the ball. He was always. What you want from a midfielder when your defence is bringing out is for them to show for the ball or not run away from it. Because otherwise your centre backs just go long all the time. And there's a time and a place for that. But if you're trying to insert yourself in the game, you want players who are coming to look for it. And for me, he was always looking for it. He was always right side defensively. It was just that the odd ball went astray. And I said that could just have been down to the pitch. But as the game went on and the half went on, I think, we got better and better, and he was instrumental in that. But he must have been involved probably more than any other player in that first 30 minutes. So the fact that he did make the odd stray pass probably showed up more because he was involved as much as he was.
Yeah, I'd like to see the stats. Sorry, John. I'd like to see the stats on how many kilometres he covers in a game, because even though whilst the first half was quite poor generally, he's all over the pitch. He just runs around all the time. Without the ball.
It'd be good to see heat maps, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I know there's a couple of guys who do that, but I think that'd be interesting to see Dougal's in the first half, because he was everywhere. Like Tim said then, without the ball, I think that's where he's probably better than with the ball sometimes.
Mm. I think the thing is with Dougal. Sorry, John. I'll just
fine, yeah.
Anything. I think the thing is with Dougal, we always expect high sort of quality stuff from him, because he's generally speaking, he's been that since he's joined us, hasn't he? And when he does put a stray pass, which let's be honest, there were 3 or 4 of them today, you just get frustrated because it's just unlike him in a way. But I think he's still a quality player, and him and Ward, or him and other in the midfield are definitely the common denominators of this success that we're having.
If you just avert your eyes to the screen, gents, from this comment from Steve Hutchin, we need to remember the number of injuries in the team too. It's incredible that we keep getting these results with all the missing players. I mean, towards the end of the game, we had Turton and Thornley at centre half. So Thornley's our 4th choice centre half with the right back. It's just, it's incredible what he says.
I think that comes down to the confidence as well, John. Like I mentioned before about we have got a strong squad. There's not many clubs in our league who could go have the amount of injuries that we've had and still kind of churning out results. So you've got to credit the the chairman and the board for the way we brought so many players in throughout the season. I don't just mean in the transfer window. I mean throughout the season. Because we started off quite poor, and then we brought in Dougal, we brought in Ballard, we brought in Greteson. Even in January, we brought in Stewart. Nobody in League One does that. So I think
if we're ever going to
always evolving, aren't we?
Well, the criticisms, to be fair, that you were making, particularly at the start of the season, and we were on here, were valid, weren't they? That we haven't got a centre back pairing, we haven't got a centre midfield sorted, and that's your spine of your team. And if you haven't got your spine of your team sorted, you aren't going to win games. And as soon as we've sorted that, and we have, all the players we brought in that you've just spoken about, and you look at Greteson, the argument might be from the board, well, they weren't available. The ones we wanted weren't available.
Yeah, I don't necessarily buy that.
I don't either, but that might be their argument, that we've targeted these players, but we couldn't get them in earlier. But Greteson's fantastic.
Oh, he's brilliant on the ball. For ball playing.
He's got up in him. I don't know if you watched the Blackpool preview show, but it turns out that he was a Blackpool fan and part of an Icelandic Blackpool supporters club as he was growing up.
I didn't know that. No wonder he didn't want to come off when he got injured. Then he didn't want to come off. Did he?
And you look now, and we've got 4 centre backs, as Phil says. We've got plenty of options centre midfield, and we've got a few more options up front now. Where at the start of the season we were very one-dimensional, and we're not anymore.
I think centre midfield is the key one for me. I think like Ethan Robson, I feel a little bit sorry for him really, because he got the big fanfare when he came in. He was the ball playing number 6 continental style deep lying midfield player, and he's lost his place 2 or 3 times this season now, and we keep replacing him and bringing better players in. He lost his place to Dougal, then he lost his place to Virtue when he came back, then he's lost his place to Stewart when we signed him. So he's probably fifth choice now. If we had all our central midfielders there, he's probably fifth choice central midfield now.
Yep.
Where at the start of the season, he was the only one we had really in that role. So,
just hark back to those early pods, Tim, when we were all raging about it, weren't we? This lack of spine.
Yeah, we were. And listen, and we were right. And the club knew that there was an issue, and they've dealt with it. And every credit. I mean, when we said last night when we did last night's pod that if you analyse our performances now since those players came in, we are the best team in the league. Statistically, we are the best team in the league. Nobody's got more points than us over the last 27 games. And long may it continue, because we have, we've got, you could perm 11 from I think from 15 and maybe even 16 now, and they would all do a great job.
That's the thing for me. It's a depth in that squad now. It's a strong squad. You probably got, like you said, 15, 18 players who could all, knock on the manager's door, say, why am I not playing? Because they've all, none of them have let us down, have they, recently?
No.
And I think that's key for me, that you've got injuries and we can just bring people in and they've been quality.
Let's go on about the goal then. 44 minutes. A lovely finish from Ellis Sims, who latches onto a great ball from Jordan Gabriel to power Blackpool in front. Matt, talk us through it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was fairly, I guess we've just been talking about, passing and possession and all that, but it was actually I guess as far as we go, almost as route one as we get, really, in that it was, a good ball over the top, which was similar to what Gabriel did last week, wasn't it, against Plymouth when Mitchell got brought down. But this time Sims, brushed off the defender and absolutely smashed it into the far corner, which was, it was almost, you could argue that it was almost his first proper real touch of the ball. He didn't have an awful lot of the ball prior to that, from what I recall. But it was a great finish, and it was just at the right time, just before half time. It was almost the perfect time to score, wasn't it, away from home?
Matt, do you think as well that, we talked about this hard pitch before and it was maybe not ideal? When the ball came down, I think as a result, it bounced up perhaps more than it might otherwise have done and really set up for him, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're not going to see a more confident finish from a young lad. I don't think it was. He finished it with aplomb, didn't he? He really did.
It was a great finish, but the thing I thought about at the time was that that's the sort of ball that he needs, sort of over the top, rather than one into him. If he's got his back to goal, he kind of bounces off him a little bit. He doesn't hold it up. Whereas that is probably the sort of ball he needs down the channels, so he can use his pace, and then great finish. But I think maybe we've missed a trick a little bit with him sometimes, where he's come into the team in a 4-4-2, playing a Medine role, and he's not Medine. He can't hold it up. That's exactly what he needs. Balls over the top, so he can run onto.
Yeah, he's very different, isn't he, in that regard?
Yeah.
He's not a target man as such, but he is. He's sort of a bit old-fashioned in that regard. You can launch a ball over him, and he will make himself.
He'll run onto it.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's what he needs. A ball over the top where he can run onto, rather than a ball up to him that he has to kind of hold it and then bring other people in. I don't think that's his game.
No, exactly. No,
I've got a mate who's an Everton fan, and he asked me how's he getting on. I said not great, to be honest. I was being diplomatic.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? Because he's obviously one of those, again, we mentioned him in the past. He's come from an under-23 football, and it's not necessarily it's such a leap, isn't it, from under-23 to professional level. But he's still only a kid, and you could see what attributes he brings. And it's how we get the best out of him. And chances like that today is obviously what he's all about. The more direct, the one-on-one type of situation, he's going to do well. But he's got so much to learn that he isn't a target man, even though he's 6 foot tall. It's very difficult to try and sort of get him into the game sometimes. So he's still got a lot to learn. He's still got a lot to prove. But equally, at the moment, whilst we haven't got Medine, in certain games, and this was ideal, I guess, when you look back with hindsight, that a team who are not great in Swindon, it was a good game to bring him in.
Ironically, Go on. I was going to say, ironically, I thought he had a pretty poor first half up till then.
I thought he wasn't involved at all.
No, but in the second half, up until he got hooked, I thought he was, he was fantastic. He was involved in everything. He was dropping in, picking the ball up, doing a bit. So actually, I think the goal gave him confidence. Maybe they are young lads, aren't they? And I'm sure they pick up on some of the little criticisms and negatives. He hadn't scored for a few games, but he had come on, not done himself perhaps justice, and he's scored a spanker there, hasn't he? He's gone straight over to the corner flag and given it.
It was a great finish. It was a great finish.
A celebratory whack the corner flag, hasn't he? And I think he's probably taken a bit of a monkey off his shoulder with that one a bit. Perhaps he was just thinking. He's thinking about his performance too much. When he scores a goal like that, you can relax for the rest of the game, can't you? And just play football.
You can. But like you said, though, he's a young lad who's learning his trade, and maybe sometimes we've not played to his strengths, because there's no doubt about it. If you put the balls in behind for him to run onto, he looks a handful. But sometimes the long balls out of the back where he's got to muscle defenders out probably isn't his game. You think of the goal. You think of. Was it Charlton away where he got the penalty? Yeah, that was very similar. I think Kai threaded the ball through to him, and he span and he got in and he won the penalty.
I guess football's, Phil. I guess football's kind of evolved, hasn't it, from the 20 years, hark back to 20, 25 years ago when we were watching Dave Bamber and the like, and that was how the majority of teams played. Big target man knocking it in, holding it up, and maybe because he's played so much academy football, he's very rarely had to play in that style, and can't handle it, can they?
Yeah, and I think maybe we're a bit unfair. I think you're right, and I think maybe we're a bit unfair as fans as well, thinking that he's just going to come in and replace Medine because he's a similar sort of height.
And there's that saying, isn't there? Old-fashioned centre forward. That's what Medine is.
Yeah, but Medine holds it up, doesn't he? I mean, he'll back into you, with elbow. You know what I mean? He's great at that, isn't he?
I think that's it.
You want to play against Medine, would you?
We try. We as football fans, we always try and compare a certain player that we like, i.e. Medine, to the next player, but they're so different, aren't they, in many respects? So you have to sort of adapt and change all the time, and it can be difficult because certain teams play to a different style or a certain style, should I say? But I think we've sort of adapted this year. We've already played, we've already mentioned about how we've played over the last few games, yet we've played 4-4-2 today. And, we've looked comfortable, generally speaking. All right, the first half an hour wasn't, it wasn't Brazil or anything like that. But, we've done okay out of it. And, this is it. And this is why, Sims has got his chance today. And it'll be interesting to see what we do on Monday night, Monday afternoon, rather, against Gillingham, because they are more sort of direct and whether Sims gets another opportunity, because it might just be a way of getting past them, but it's nice to have the option. And I think if we can somehow get Sims more into the game, it just takes the pressure off Jerry Yates.
The thing with Sims as well, he's got pace. He's got pace, so you can tell
absolutely.
That and you don't want to defend against pace. And there's a couple of good comments there that's flashed up then, I think. And they're right. He's young. He's inexperienced, and he will learn that physical side of it as he gets a little bit older. But it's just how we get the best out of him. Once we've got him, we just need to get the best out of him. I think that's my point, that we just need to kind of play to his strengths a bit more. Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the second half. Tim, how do you think we started the second half? We looked a bit lively, but I can't really use the first half as a reference point.
No, I said, we'd finished the first half extremely well. I don't think we quite hit the heights that we did in that period up to half time, dominance wise. I don't recall anything particularly happening of any note. I didn't note anything down anyway. I think we had a Kai got fouled, and we had a free kick, I think, which Garbett hit from quite a distance, and it just either skimmed. I think I can't remember now whether the keeper saved it. Went wide, just wide of the post, wasn't it? But I think that was probably the highlight of the first sort of 10, 12 minutes before we reached the goal situation. But we looked confident. We never looked under. I didn't think we looked under pressure at all. And And it's funny that we seem to be more comfortable away from home at the moment, where perhaps just psychologically, I think particularly because it was a great time to score, wasn't it? Because Swindon had to come out a little bit in the second half because they need points, and perhaps with them coming out a bit, that allows us to start playing a little bit more football. And obviously, as we'll no doubt talk about, we're able to get behind their defence and seal the win.
Yeah, I think that's
Phil, do you want to talk us through Jerry Yates' goal?
I can't remember it now.
Went round the keeper.
Oh yeah,
as he does.
If
I'd been playing with him, I'd have been screaming at him to pass me the ball. Was it Sims? Was it Sims who was up with him? But it's ultra confidence to do that, isn't it?
Yeah, I thought it was offside. He looks offside. He looks offside to me.
Can't tell from the angle, though, can you?
It was like in slow motion, though. The ball went over the top. I think it was.
Was it the Viking? Was it a ball over the top?
Yeah, he played a really nice ball up, through. And I just thought it's offside this, and then they all had a look. But it was like slow motion. And he just carried on and played to the whistle. So fair play to him. I don't know. The thing is, I don't know if he'd passed it to Sims, if Sims would have been offside.
Yeah, I thought Sims was ahead of him myself.
Possibly. So he's done the right thing. I
listened to the way commentary, and their commentators didn't think it was offside. And I looked at it, and then I looked back at it, and I thought, it looks offside to me. And I'm just surprised because obviously, I think if the boot had been on the other foot, we'd have been screaming blue murder that he was a mile off. Now, obviously, because you only get that one camera angle, you don't get the VAR style analysis, do you? But the immediate reaction is he's off, but perhaps he wasn't.
Yeah, I thought, when I look back at it, I thought their centre-half might have been playing him onside, I'll be honest. But it's so fine margins, isn't it? And it reminded me, and I can't think of the game, but there was a similar sort of opportunity at home it was an evening match where Yates was through one-on-one and it was given offside. And I thought it was very similar to that. I wish I could remember which game it was, but anyway, the thing is with him, when he gets through one-on-one, he's just so cool. He gets his dancing feet. He gets his dancing feet out, and the goalkeeper just has no idea where he's going to go with it. And he just has he's almost like a FIFA player, isn't he? He's just sort of like just a little bit of hop, skip, and a jump, and he's away from the goalkeeper, and he's put in the back of the net. He's so super. He's ice cool in those situations. Really, really good. Really, really good.
Yeah, and he plays to the whistle as well. It's something you teach kids in at a young age. Just play to the whistle, just carry on, and let the referee make the decision for you. And that's what he did. And like you say, Matt, the way he just sits the keeper down and just goes round him like he wasn't there.
Yeah. How many he's got now for the season?
17, I think.
17. Right, that's decent going.
He's got to get. As long as he stays fit, he should be. If he comes into Blackpool and gets 20 goals in his first season, if not a few more, then that's just exactly what you want.
He's absolutely key for this team, though, in this 10-game running now.
He's 18, so he's probably that's fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah. Didn't score in his first 8 or 9, possibly.
No.
We were all questioning him, weren't we? I remember I said, "What does he do?"
Well, to be fair, people were questioning him, but I think it was a struggling team. I mean, you could question all of them, couldn't you? Really, that first month of the season,
so bad, weren't it? It was so bad.
But the one thing about him, sorry, Phil.
Sorry, Matt. I was going to say one thing I think as well, and I'll probably get shut down for this, so I have done previously, that I just thought we were underprepared. I thought we started the season a bit underprepared. We've got a new manager in. We played some high-profile friendlies where we've just kind of just fannied around a little bit, haven't we? We played Liverpool, played Everton, and we've just passed it around nicely, and we look quite neat and tidy. But I don't think we're ready for League One football.
Yeah, I was going to say six.
They used to play Gillingham.
Yeah, 6 pre-season games against Gillingham would have sorted us out, wouldn't it? Probably.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah,
but even if you play some non-league teams or some lower teams who are like physical and give you a bit of stick, but playing teams like Liverpool and Everton, and it's just passing it around like an exhibition game. It's like the Harlem Globetrotters, wasn't it? It's like that's not really.
What I was going to say about Yates, despite him not scoring in the first however many games it was, the one thing he never sort of shirks from is his work rate is just unbelievable. From the first second that he stepped on the grass for Blackpool Football Club, he always puts in 100%. The yards he covers is just phenomenal. And, if nothing else, you go back not to in the recent past and you look at someone like Brett Ormerod, and he's exactly the same as far as I can see. Works his bollocks off, and he gets the rewards, and that's it's the one thing you sort of, it's the easiest thing to coach in a way, isn't it? Work hard and you'll get results. And he does that. He puts the defenders under so much pressure and tries to run the lines and all the rest of it. And if the balls come to him like they did today, then he only has that one opportunity.
I think a lot of players work hard, but I don't think I've ever seen a player work as hard as him off the ball ever.
Yeah, it's his technical ability as well, Tim, isn't it? All right, we compare him with Brett. I think he was technically a much better player than Brett was, but as good as Brett was.
Well, yeah, you say that, but they equally, when Brett was with us first time, Brett's played in the Premier League, so Jerry Yates hasn't yet, and Brett held his own in the Premier League. So not just for Blackpool, but I'm talking about for Southampton here. So he went for 1.8 million which are probably like 4 or 5 million quid now. So I don't, Brett was particularly in his first time with us, was very raw when he started, but great player. But I've got to say, when we all get back in that stadium, Yates is going to be the fans' favourite, isn't he? Because
and you're going to hear this.
His heart
Yeah, you're right what you said, though. It's that work. It's that work that he puts in off the ball as well. Like what Dougal does in midfield as well. They just work so hard when they haven't got the ball. You just want to win it back straight away, and that's what you want. And if you're playing a pressing game, which we are now, then perfect.
Look, that's a noticeable comment. In the first half, it was noticeable that Jerry works much more hard than Sims. That's a fair point.
It is, and I think that's where Sims will learn. He has to appreciate that actually I've got to put 10,000 metres in a game or whatever plus, like Jerry Yates does, to get more opportunities or to basically work harder for the team. And, they're like chalk and cheese in a way, strikers, aren't they? He's very different to Jerry Yates. He has different attributes and all the rest of it. But equally, he will look at Jerry Yates in training on a Saturday afternoon in the match, and he will look at him and go, Christ, I've got to work that hard if I'm going to get
Do you also think, though?
I'm not sure he will, though.
The thing is,
he should do.
You've also got to bear in mind that certain players can run like Jerry off the ball effectively, and other players could run off the ball and do it ineffectively and end up giving fouls away, picking up yellow cards. Very clever is Jerry in that when he goes and closes players down, he generally doesn't foul, but he he pushes them into mistakes. He generally won't necessarily put a tackle in. It'll just be to close to make them make the decision. Well, so he's using his brain as well. I think that's the point I'm trying to make is he's a very, very clever player. And, another player up front will run around the same way and not have anything like the same impact in relation to the way in which they're pressurising the defence. So we have got a great player there. And, it's not surprising that he's been linked to other clubs, and we've just got to make sure that he doesn't go anywhere.
There's a question in the comments from John Ford there. If we don't go up this year, do you think Yates will go to a championship club? I think definitely.
For the right one,
without a doubt.
There's a risk, isn't there? Forest looking at him. If we go up, then I don't think it's an issue of keeping him. But if we don't, we're going to be having them. The vultures will be circling whether we can, we can show him that we've got the ambition for him to stay. I don't know, but at the end of the day, there's such a big gulf between League One and the Championship, and these lads are only in it for a certain period, aren't they? And there's only a certain period in which you can earn your money. So
if he scores 20 plus goals. If he scores 20 plus goals this season, there's going to be, if we go up or not, there's going to be clubs wanting him, isn't there? And I think it goes back to what Matt said as well about his work. The way he works off the ball. He's like a lower league Jamie Vardy. Just off the ball. Just puts pressure on the centre halves. No one wants to play against him.
Yeah, right. Back to the game then. So we've gone 2-0 up, but that kind of brought Swindon to life in the game, and they had 2 quick fire chances, one after the other.
Yeah, the first. I noted it. Yeah, I noted it down straight from the kickoff after we scored. Payne, I think it was. I think we were a bit loose in defence, and Payne lashes one in, and Maxwell, to be fair, pulled off a good save, and then almost straight after that, albeit it turned out it was offside, Pittman hits the upright. So it was just like a little bit. I think perhaps a little bit of a wake up call to us that we might be 2-0 up, but the game isn't won. Because I think if they got one back at that stage, then we'd have been back on tenterhooks, wouldn't we? So
I think they need to learn from that, then, don't they?
Yeah, and it's about in the early part of the season, our issue was coming out at half time, wasn't it? At the beginning of the second half, and not being switched on at that point. And we conceded it. I think Gillian being a classic example, conceding an early goal. And this was I just think we weren't quite mentally right in the build up to the first chance. The second chance was a feed off from that anyway. But the first chance, I think defensively we could have dealt with it better. But these are small criticisms because overall I thought we defended, but perhaps slight exception. But I thought we defended really, really well, particularly, the two lads at centre-back, I can't recall them really putting a foot wrong all game.
No. So, Matt, as the game, it kind of petered out, didn't it? And we managed the game very well, and we didn't really look like we were going to concede after that little shaky spell.
Yeah, it's the one thing that we've really done well, isn't it, over the last, I don't know how many games now, managed it really well, especially away from home, the last 15, 20 minutes. To be honest, Swindon had pretty much nothing to offer, fortunately. And obviously when Greteson went off and Thornley came on, it was just a like for like. Some of us aren't Thornley's biggest fan.
Sorry just to interrupt. Did I hear it right? The commentator saying he played rugby league.
Who?
For Warrington. Did no one hear that?
No.
Commentators definitely.
We switching channels.
No. Give right, listeners. Post in the comments if you heard the commentator say
who played rugby league.
He said Thornley played rugby league for Warrington or something. Might have been referred to another player, but yeah, hopefully someone else heard it.
Just picking up on that though, obviously the reason Thornley came on was
because
Greteson picked up a bit of a knock, didn't he? And obviously, it was preventative, precautionary, I should say. The reason he was taken off, as distinct from him actually having an injury, that's a cause of concern. Because the last thing we want, as we're heading into the business part of the season with 10 games left, is to lose one of our real quality centre backs. So let's hope, touch wood, he's named on Monday.
Yeah, I think
he's only just come back, hasn't he? At the end of the day,
you know what? He didn't want to come off, did he? I like the fact that he didn't want to come off. He went down twice.
That's why I think it's preventative. I think it's preventative because he went in for a tackle not straight afterwards, didn't he? And
that's right. I
remember the commentators saying, "Well, he seemed all right there. He wasn't old at his groin or whatever it was." So anyway, hopefully he's fine. The Blackpool fan that he is.
Yes.
I'm not buying that. Sorry,
honestly, if you go on Blackpool's Twitter, because it was on, you don't have to listen to the full show. If you go on Blackpool's Twitter, they've got a 2-minute segment where he talks about it. It's actually, if you think about it, he's how old? He's in his early 20s, isn't he? 10 years ago, he was like 12, 13, 14, whatever. Blackpool were in the Premier League, and we were everybody's second club, weren't we? And that's what he basically says. He said there was 50 of us in Iceland and we all supported Blackpool because they were the underdog.
Jordan Thornley's dad played for Warrington. There it is.
There we go.
You
didn't hear it right then.
Oh, nearly.
You got half it right, John. That's better than normal.
Right, so where's that remove button for Phil? Right, back to the game then. So, Phil, you must have had a night, a heart skipping a beat on 83 minutes. Sully Kai briefly down for the Seasiders, but now away.
I think it's just that we started learning we're learning the dark arts, aren't we? We're learning to take a little bit longer. We get injured and we stay down a bit longer. Then we get up and then we pretend we're injured for a little bit longer. And then we go down again. And I think generally, that's what do they call it? Shithousery. But I think it's good. I think it's good that we're doing that.
Steve
now.
Evans' teams do it.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else does it. we were too soft at the start of the season. And I think now, if we're winning away from home, then waste time by all means.
And you'll have players like Dougal and Stewart and pecking the ref's ear all game, which is what you want, don't you? You want to be pecking him, saying that's his third foul ref, that's his fourth foul ref, and all that stuff that other teams were always doing to us.
Well, you saw it with Dougal, didn't you? After Dougal got booked, I think something happened on the left-hand side, on our right, and Dougal was straight up to the referee saying, "Why are you not booking him? You just booked me. Why is he not being booked?" Now, again, that's what you want. You want the bench shouting for everything. You want players feigning injury when you're winning away from home, and you want players trying to get other players booked. I know it's not nice, but it's football, isn't it? You're there to win.
5 wins on the bounce, 2-0 win. Happy days. Right, let's move on to rate the players.
Can I just say before the end, there was a fantastic little bit in the left-hand corner involving Yates just towards the end. And the one thing I've noticed about this team is we are bloody good at holding balls in corners when we're trying to waste time. I mean, we've done it. Yeah, even the class of 2010, they were crap at it. Every time they tried to do it, we gave possession away and
conceded.
Because the ball goes down the other end. This lot, particularly Yates, are the masters at it. And they had a section there where there was him and Kai and somebody else involved, and they were basically just they were on it. And I just wanted to mention it before we move on to scores.
No, I think it's a good point, and that's basically what I was saying before about the game management side of. That's what we've learnt as the season's gone on. This group of players has evolved, and Tom's just said there, game management's sensational, and it has been for the last 3 months probably.
Yeah,
and I think that's what as a group of players and coaching staff and everybody else involved has got to take some credit for, because we weren't doing it at the start of the season. We just there's no way we would be like that, would we? We'd just try and score, or we'd just try and carry on passing the ball. But that's the biggest plus for me. Experience. I think it comes down with experience. Yeah.
Right, Tim, let's start with you. The goalkeeper, Chris Maxwell, made a great save to keep them at bay just after we'd gone a 2-0.
Yeah, didn't have a great deal to do, but everything he did have to do was spot on as usual. I don't think he dropped anything. I don't think he, his distribution from the back was as, we keep forgetting how good he is with the ball at his feet at the back. He never. Well, I don't want to come back to haunt me. So far, he's never, I think, made a mistake of significance doing it, and he is really the last. He is a proper last, almost like a sweeper for our team, and he can actively involve. So I love him as a goalkeeper. I'm going to give him an 8. I didn't have a lot to do, but I'm going to give him an 8.
I can't remember for us this an away goalkeeper having so little to do. I don't think. No. I can't think of any real big saves.
I would normally give him a 7, but I think it's a bit harsh giving him a 7 when he literally there wasn't a mistake he made all game. So
also there wasn't any saves either.
No, he had one save, didn't he? He had that one save just after we scored.
The second. Just that one by half time.
That's the odd. His handling was good. It was nothing. He had the easiest game he's ever going to have in his life, hasn't he? Today.
Yeah.
But he was. But I think I was going to give him a 7. I thought, no, I'll give him an 8 because he didn't drop anything at all. So, and I still, we forget how much he's involved in. The ball comes back to him. It doesn't just get hoofed up front. It generally finds feet, and it's very, very important, particularly when you're trying to keep possession, that you've got a goalkeeper that can do that.
Just laughing at this. Josh has a point. Just going back to the game management stuff.
I think it's something that we tend to. I think you're right. I mean,
run about away from home.
I was going to say it's more away from
home. Move on.
I didn't actually say away from home, but
a work in progress at home. Definitely.
I think it's a different mindset away from home, though. I just think maybe away from home is a different mindset.
It's psychological, Phil, because there can't be a lot. There's not a lot of difference at the moment, is there? When you're home or away, but I think psychologically there is.
Yeah. I think at home you kind of think that you have to impose yourself on the game and you have to carry on playing your football. Well, away from home you can do what you want, and as long as you get the 3 points, I suppose. I don't know. Good point. Fair point. I take it on the chin, that one. Bastard.
He's laughing. Look.
Who is it? Who is it? Do I know him?
Josh Melling. Your point is valid, Josh. I'll give you that. Ollie Turton, Matt, let's come to you. Centre half, Ollie Turton.
Yeah, centre half stroke, footballing, Mr. Steady Eddie. He's just so reliable, isn't he? He gets a lot of pelters from certain quarters, but you can't argue with what he's done over the last couple of months. He's been outstanding, and to be fair, he wasn't up against a great deal today. I mean,
it's Pittman, though. You expect him to score against us, don't you?
Yeah,
he always does.
I did.
He was. I mean, he looked really old and slow, didn't he, Pittman? Apart from that first 4 minutes, I mean, he looked tired at the coin toss I put on the group chat today.
Yeah, I think I said he was older. He looks older than Walshy.
He looks like an old pro, doesn't he? But anyway, Ollie Turton himself, he didn't put a foot wrong, so it's 8 out of 10 for me, really.
You've got the Viking, Phil, for your first.
Oh, fantastic!
Blackpool fan Daniel Greteson.
What I like about him is he's just so good on the ball. I know we've tried a few different centre halves this season, but I always feel a bit more comfortable when he's playing. I just think we don't give the ball away as much. I think sometimes when Ballard plays, we give it away, and when Thornley plays, we give it away a little bit. But this lad doesn't give the ball away. He can hit long passes, he can sweep up, reads the game really well. So for me, close to being man of the match today. Probably, I'll give him an 8. I'll give him an 8.
You know what?
Maybe even a 9, 8.5, maybe.
Or do 8+. Use Tim's scale.
8+.
I was going to say I couldn't remember if you allowed halves or if it was decimals. I couldn't remember.
8+ you can give him, Phil.
Okay, I'll give him. So I'm learning on the job here. I'll give him an 8+ then.
I'll also add that I think he's a really good reader of the game. I think
he reads the game really well.
When Garbutt was jumping in a couple of times in the first half, he was sort of sweeping up behind him and sort of snuffed out everything that their number 11 was trying to do. And that's something that, I don't know, it just sort of comes naturally. It's not something you can coach necessarily, and I think he's a real asset in that regard. I think
he doesn't look the biggest either. I don't know physically how big he is, because you can't really tell when you're watching on your laptop sort of thing. But he doesn't look massive for a centre half. But like you say, Matt, he just reads the game well, and he doesn't really. And I think that's his main strength for me, the way he reads it and then just passes it and keeps the ball.
Yep.
John, can you get Josh on the pod next week, John? He's called us out. Yeah, Josh, if you want to come on, drop me a message on Twitter. Let's make it happen. You've mugged us off. So,
I just don't think he was listening. But next time he just needs to listen more, because I did actually say away from home.
Did you really, Phil? Did you?
I think so. I'll have to have a look at it. I'll have to have a look at it again.
Where were we? Luke Garbutt, Tim.
Not his best game today, by a long chalk. He gave the ball away for an early chance for them, which could have been quite difficult for us if we'd gone 1-0 down, and we could have done with with an on-form striker. We might well have hit the back of the net. And it didn't actually. He had quite a decent free kick into, but we didn't have a lot of set play today. And Kai seemed to be nicking the ball off him when we did get corners and stuff. Didn't have a huge number of corners today, if I remember right. There's only about 5 or 6, wasn't there? But it's like it's a 6+ or a 7-. So I'm going to go 6. I think I'm going to go 6, but it's a good 6, not a bad one.
Yeah, do you know what? We've won 2-0 away from home, and you're kind of thinking, if you're being critical, you'd probably say he's probably our weakest player today. That's what I think. And I know it's harsh to say it. You won 2-0 away from home, clean sheet, comfortable, but like Tim said, I just don't think he was he just didn't look as sharp as normal.
I love him as a player, and I wouldn't people. I mean, Walshy was saying drop him, and I wouldn't drop him because he's so good. He's so good at our set plays, and that's probably as bad as you're going to see him play.
He is, but if you look at a few of the goals we've conceded recently, I think he does lose his man a little bit, and he switches off, and people get on the blind side of him. Not so much today, but I think generally over the last few weeks, and some of the some of the home games where we've conceded late goals, I think I'll come down that side where people are running off the back of him.
Yeah, but I think actually he will always play better as a wing back in a 3-5-2, won't he? That's the reality of the situation. But
he's a modern day fullback.
Yeah, I think what you do is if you're playing him, what you do is you try and make. There's also almost an argument to say that playing him and Gabriel is perhaps a little bit too much, in that they're both pushing on too much, and maybe Turton sometimes is better. We're assuming we've got all the centre backs. Turton's better, and then they can almost like just move across a little bit and almost play as a 3 to allow Garbutt to push on.
I think that's right.
But I love him as a player, and I won't say I'd always pick him, but I would pick him ahead of most. And so today wasn't his day really.
Do you know what's good though? It's good that
come back. He's back, haven't we? So,
do you know what? Yeah, I think they're different players, but I think Husband's quality, and I think
I do. I like Husband.
I agree with that comment. Defensively, I think he's a far better defender, but he doesn't give you as much going forward.
Great problems to have, though, Phil, aren't they? Great problems.
And that's what I was going to say.
We can always drop Kai to move the Luke further up anyway.
Put Garbutt left mid. That's fine.
Yeah, that would work.
Right, who's up next? Was it you, Matt?
It is
King
me.
Kenny. King Kenny.
I've read Gabriel, by the way. I think we've sort of missed him out, haven't we, on the route?
Sorry, we have Tim. You can have Gabriel, John Gabriel. Matt, sorry.
Right, okay. So, similar in a way to Luke Garbutt. It took a bit to sort of get to grips with more the pitch, I think, more than anything else, to be honest. It was bobbling around, and as a consequence, wasn't allowing him to go forward. But, he put the ball over for the goal for Sims, and just generally got better. I mean, what I like about Gabriel, he just looks. He's a proper physical specimen, isn't he? He never gets knocked off the ball. He's a proper athlete. Works really hard up and down the right hand side.
Threat going forward as well, Matt.
He is a threat going forward, and obviously we've mentioned before about his ropey start against Ipswich, and that just seems as dim and distant past that. He's very solid these days. You don't even think about his defensive frailties as such, because don't seem to be any at all. But
I think he does. I think a bit similar to Garbutt, though. I think sometimes he does switch off a little bit times defensively. Yeah, I still think people get on the back of him. Maybe you're being critical, but
I mean, it's sort of one of those that you look at him and you just think, he's got something. He can be a little bit fragile, but you're talking, small little things, aren't you? And again, he's just.
I remember Seamus Coleman being poor.
Yeah, exactly.
The first time he played for us, and
absolutely.
Was it Charlie, when we interviewed Charlie, he said Seamus Coleman was a bit shit in training. He said,
that's right.
No, those exact words, but he said
he was just
sort of a bit flat to deceive in training. But he said as soon as he put him on the pitch, they were all like, "Wow!"
But the first half he played against Palace, I think it was Palace, and you'd have hooked him at half time and taken him off.
Yeah.
And what a great decision not to do it.
I was going to say, but nobody remembers Palace. They all remember Scunthorpe away, don't they? So that's what it's all about. Yeah. And Gabriel's, he's just getting better and better. And even when he has a quiet game like I think he did today, he's still a good 7 out of 10 for me today. So there you go.
Right, you can have King Kenny then, Phil. Not so regal performance today, or
no, I don't. I thought I got Dougal. Yeah, okay, Dougal. Yeah, I think. I didn't understand the criticism really that he was getting. I think I know we covered it a little bit earlier, but I just thought he gets about the pitch. He wins the ball back. He keeps it simple, and that's what you want out of your central midfielder. That's what you want out of your anchor man. He sits in front. Yeah, he breaks up all the play and he's all over the pitch. I thought he had a decent game. I'll give him a 7.
Grant Ward,
steady,
very tidy from the half I saw.
Yeah. I think somebody put some stats up earlier on to say that he completed the most passes for us today, slightly ahead of Dougal. And I thought he had a quietly very, very steady game. I think that particularly when all the good possession were involved in, he was very much with his partner in crime involved in that. So I'm actually think I'm going to go an 8. I'm going to go an 8. I think he did okay.
Yeah, I thought he played well. Just chip in, John. There was one point in the second half when he had the ball under his feet and there was nobody around him, but he able to sort of like roll the ball 3 times under his feet with nobody near, like Charlie Charles from the Fast Show. It
was Harry Enfield. It was Harry Enfield.
Harry Enfield, was it? Yeah. And I just thought,
when he super glued the ball to his foot. When he did that.
Do you know what I like about Grant Ward though? He just keeps it simple, doesn't he? He just keeps it. He just rotates it and keeps it moving.
And I think him and Dougal are a good foil for each other, aren't they? They seem to both make each other play that little bit better.
Yeah,
and the thing with Ward as well is he's improved as the season's gone on. I was quite critical at the start of the season. I think that I wasn't quite sure what position he should be playing in. Was he a winger? Was he more of a 10? Was he a holding midfielder? Well, now with a partner, he looks really good, and I think that's credit to him. He's found his feet. Yeah,
it's like a new signing because he was shy when we signed him last year.
Yeah, he played left. He played in basically Kaikai's position, didn't he?
But he come off. Did he not come off a really bad injury? I think he'd been out for like 6 months or something like that. I think he did his
cruciate ligament. I think
it was his ACL or something like that. So maybe it was a bit harsh that when he first came to us, he was just getting
played out of position
his feet. Yeah. I didn't know what his position was. To be fair, I don't know. But now he looks like a central midfielder.
I think we know where his position is now, and that's centre midfield.
Yeah, no, I think it is now. But I think at the start of the season, we weren't sure, were we?
Elliot, Embleton, Timothy.
Yeah, I felt he had. He was our best player in the first half for me. I felt that he was the one who was capable of making a difference because he was the one who was finding the gaps. He was the one to find the space. Not quite sure he had quite the same impact in the second half, if I'm being honest. But it was a very, very competent performance, and I think what
nearly scored in the second half as well, if you remember.
Yeah, I think probably the biggest compliment I can pay to him is that when we play Sunderland, we're going to miss him because you'd want him in the starting 11, wouldn't you? Which is we wouldn't have done 2 months ago. We were. I think the jury was out on him, and I think we can all now say that we can see what a good footballer he is. It's a 7, I think, but it's a good 7.
Just on Embleton, is another one that I'm not quite sure what his best position is. I know he played off sort of wide right today. I don't think that's probably his best position. But like you say, he just gets on the ball and he kind of makes things happen.
I agree. I think he's better when he's more central in that number 10 role.
Yeah, I think he likes that. I think he likes that role as well. He likes to get on the ball, and if only he would have a sort of an end product, I guess it would be, almost the perfect sort of number 10, wouldn't he?
Yeah, he's got 2 good feet. I mean, he looks comfortable going both ways as well. So
it was that great shot. Yeah, John was on about that shot, and to be honest, John, I've forgotten what you're on about. And it's the one way he turned their player one way, then the other way, then the other way, and it just shows he's got 2 good feet, hasn't he? And he's accomplished with both. And it was. It showed there what a quality player he could be. So apologies, I hadn't quite picked up on which shot you're on about.
That's all right, Tim. I forgive you.
No, I didn't make you led me in to say something, and I couldn't really remember it, but it was probably.
Don't worry about it. Honestly, don't worry about it.
I think it was probably the best bit of football in the whole of the second half, to be honest.
Don't worry, forget about it. It's fine.
Right, I'm just going to change the order of things so you get Kai. Yeah.
Okay.
So Matt Ellis Sims.
A really shit score.
Ellis Sims. It's a funny one, isn't it? Because obviously he scored a hell of a goal today, and that alone just gets him up to sort of 7 out of 10, I think. Did he do much else apart from that goal? Not massively.
He's a striker.
But that's it, isn't it? So that's sometimes what you need from a striker. You don't want to see them for 90 minutes, but if, they score the goal and they win the game, then they're a hero, aren't they? So it's a funny one, isn't it? So I'll give him a 7+, because I don't think he he only played 60-odd minutes as well. And to be honest, I thought he warranted a bit more than that. I don't know why we took him off as early as we did, to be honest. But
I think we took him off just to kind of contain it a little bit and go a little bit more defensively.
He was playing, as I said earlier on the pod, I thought he was actually playing some of the best football the game that he'd played. Just when we hooked him, I couldn't believe we took him.
I think it was a good sub in the end, though, because they did get a little bit better in the second half, and I think just by taking him off and going a little bit, an extra man in midfield. Extra man in midfield kind of settled us down a little bit. So good sub, I think. In the end.
I think it was good sub, and I think also when I think back to the starting lineup, it probably threw a bit of a spanner in Swindon's works because they were probably expecting us not to play Ellis Sims. So anyway, I thought he did all right today. He's got a great goal, and definitely a 7+ for me. There you go.
Right, Phil. Your moment, your chance to shine, your boy Sully Kai.
Well, I know he gets a lot of grief off people on various social media platforms, and I've never really understood it, because I think he does something that nobody else in our team really does. As in the way he links to play, and his weight of pass is fantastic. He's got 2 good feet, keeps the ball well. I just don't think we get the best out of him as a team, unless he's playing as a bit more as a 10 sort of role. I just don't think I just don't think we get the best out of him. I really don't. And today he was quiet because he didn't really get the ball. But when he gets the ball, he keeps it. And I think one thing recently with him, I think he works quite hard for the team as well, and I think he chases back a lot more than what people give him credit for. So I'll give him an 8.
Not an 11. Not 11.
Do you know what? If he gets more involved in play, I mean, I like him when he drifts inside and he gets on the ball more and he links play together. And some of his 3 balls and his weight of passing is probably the best in the team. But he didn't really get involved today. So,
but the system doesn't suit him. End of, does it?
And that's a good point that Chris has said that. Embleton kind of demands it more and finds it when he's not got it, and maybe Kai kind of. But again, we don't know what he's been told. We don't know what the manager tells him. No. We don't know if he's told to kind of run up and down that left-hand side and chase back when you've not got it and get back in shape. We don't know what goes on the training ground. But it wasn't his best game today, but I still think he puts a shift in for the team. So solid 8.
Okay, right, to wrap this up, Tim, you've got...
Jerry. Quietish first half, I would say. Not his best, but the second half, I thought he was imperious, and he scored a fantastic goal. I think, as you said, John, I can't think of any other player who's ever put a Blackpool shirt on who you'd want one-on-one with the keeper in the same way that you'd want Jerry one-on-one, because I think you almost know he's going to score. And that's fantastic. I think his dancing feet, as Nick calls them, are it's incredible to watch sometimes. And then you've got somebody with the work, even when it's not happening for him, it's the work rate. Whether it's happening or not, he's running players down, he's closing down, he's leading from the front. And for that reason, I'm going to give him a 9 today. I thought he was superb, particularly in the second half.
Hard to argue. Right, let's do man of the matches. Matt, you hit us with your mom first.
My man of the match today was Daniel Greteson. I thought he was just superb today. I think what he brought, apart from just being solid at the back, was he was the one that was actually bringing the ball out of defence. He was the one that was linking the defence to the midfield. He set up Jerry Yates' goal, albeit obviously Jerry had still a lot of work to do. And, considering it was his first start, I think, was it his first start? Yeah, because he came on, didn't he, on Tuesday night or whenever it was. For goodness knows how long, God, have we missed him. He just looks a quality player. He reads the game really, really well. And obviously we've got tougher opponents to come, but, you can only mark him on what's in front of him. And I thought he was fantastic today. A really good performance. So he was my personal man of the match.
Phil?
I think Greteson had a good game. I thought Ward had a good game. I thought Yates had a good game. So that's basically the spine of your team. Yates led the line, and Ward kept the ball in midfield, and Greteson was solid in defence. But goals win games, goals change games. So for me, I thought Jerry Yates gets man of the match for me.
Tim?
Yeah, to be honest, the same players that have been mentioned are the ones that I would have been thinking of. At one point, I was thinking of giving it to Greteson, if I'm honest, because I thought he did have a quality game. And particularly when once he disclosed he was a closet Blackpool fan. But I think Phil's comment's a good one. But we haven't given Jerry the man of the match a couple of occasions just because there's been some exceptional performances. Today there was 2 or 3 in the mix, but he scored the goal that settled us down. I love that stuff in the left-hand corner, and for that reason, I'm going for him. He's played against his old team, and he came out the performance that we wanted from him, which is important. You know, he's a big match. I think he's actually a big match player, and they're the ones that not just win games but win playoffs and win championship. And we're so lucky to have him at the moment.
I've got Drew in the background shouting at me saying Greteson was man of the match for him.
Yeah, so, he knows it.
Yeah. Drew, it's not a bad call, mate. It's not a bad call by any stretch of the imagination. That I was very close to giving it him.
Yeah, but like you say, Tim, it's just like, you know, goals win games, don't they? And he looked lively today as well. And his work without the ball, fantastic.
Second to none. Yeah, I'm going to give it Jerry. I only saw half the game, so from what I saw, Jerry all the way for me. So Jerry, you're our man of the match. And a hat trick of Jerry's. Right, listeners, we're on an hour 15, 17. So just before we go, if you have noticed in the comments, a few people have been just saying, a strange little comment, it's a sign. What the hell's that, I hear you ask? Well, we've got a Bloomfield Road sign competition. So I'll just show you. I've got one there. One of those up for grabs. So that was out on Twitter, and you had to just retweet it. Just bring it up on the screen. Just retweet it. Mention a pal and say it's a sign on this stream. And I've just entered everyone's name in a spreadsheet and pressed the button, and the winner was Mark Webster. So well done, Mark. You are now the proud recipient of a metal Bloomfield Road sign. They do look really good, actually. They're not tacky or cheap, which I thought when I bought one. I've got another one. So well done, Mark. I'll contact you and get it over to you shortly. So right, everybody, thanks for joining us. Thanks for coming on, Phil. It's been a pleasure having you on finally.
No problem at all. Anytime, just give me a bit of notice and I'll jump in. Not a problem.
Okay, it with the missus and the 4 kids. So
well, that's the thing. That's the problem. I just need to be prepared, should I say?
There you go, Webby. 1987. Well done, Mark. Winning the sign. Right, thanks, Tim. Thanks for coming on as ever. Great insight as usual.
Yeah, I loved it tonight. It's great to. We've got family around, so I'm going to go and have a beer now with them, and it's great to go into. I keep thinking it's Saturday actually, Friday night. Having got 3 points, hopefully we can do the same against the Gills, and that sets us up fantastically, doesn't it, for the running? So really, really pleased, because as I said last night, I was a bit worried about tonight. I thought.
In fact, didn't you say we'd get beat?
Yes, I was going to come to that.
I did say there's a bit of reverse psychology involved with it. But yeah, I had Brett Pittman, Swindon, Bank Holiday, Good Friday. We don't normally win on a Good Friday, so but I'm really, really pleased. It's great.
Do you know what? It's just typical Blackpool fashion, though. Do you know? I was thinking Tim's probably right there. You know, you do really well against, and our way forward was fantastic. And then you think, do you know what? We're due throwing one in. We just think to ourselves, don't we? We're going to throw a stinker in sometime. And I thought, like Tim, this one might be a little bit of a tough one. This, but
you have little faith. One from one in my predictions, John. One from
one.
Yeah. So. Do you know, I was listening back to last night's pod on the car when I was driving up to the lakes. I was pissing myself at that Sunderland section. That was so funny. If anyone's watching this and you've not listened to the podcast that we recorded last night, highly recommend you go and have a listen to it.
I bollocked him for being the prophet of doom.
I think if Tim and Matt had been in the same room, I may have had to like hold them apart, you know, like just no, it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
So at the moment, I'm 3 points ahead of you two.
One for one. You're one for one, Matt.
I'm still waiting for the season predictions because I still think I might be.
Oh, never mind those.
Yeah, he's ahead in them, isn't he? Right, just before we go, everybody, if you're watching on YouTube, please like, please subscribe, please hit the notification bell. Helps us get up there. We want to be hitting that magic 1,000 subscriber total. It'll be great if we could do that before the end of the season. So if you've got any friends with Blackpool fans like the show, get them on YouTube. Get like pressed, get subscribe pressed, and hit the bell. Right, we're coming back on Monday, aren't we, for the Gillingham post match, and let's hope we're celebrating 3 points. So thanks ever so much, guys, for coming on this evening. It's been a pleasure.
You're welcome. No problem.
No problem.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us in the stream. It does make your show a hell of a lot better. It's great to have everyone's input, and all around to be said is thanks for watching, thanks for downloading, and up the pool. Come on, the pool.
Up the pool.
The pool.
It's already changed the world. Ollie's already changed the world. Small town from the north of England with a great tradition. Change the world.
It was, James. I thought exactly that.